How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a PUBG mobile video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the differences, the difficulties, and the advantages of third person and first person. Basically, it's going to be a third versus first person video talking about which one you might like to play better. Hi there, my name is Metalcore. I'm going to be today's host for today's video. I want to give a huge shout out to the guys over at PUBG Mobile for allowing me to basically just make videos on their channel. I know you guys like a lot of tips and tricks videos, so that's what I'm going to be showing off in today's video. It's going to be kind of like tips and tricks for both third person and first person, showing off the advantages of both third person and first person, the differences, and the difficulties. We're gonna have like difficulty ratings for third person and first person. Of course, this is my opinion, but hopefully you guys will learn some new things in today's video. Let's start off by talking about the advantages that both third person and first person have. One of the biggest advantages that third person players or the third person game mode offers is this thing that a lot of players like to call third person peeking. Now, the word basically sums it up itself. Third person peeking allows you to peek over cover or peek in an area that normally you cannot see. The reason is because first person is meant to replicate the basically first person human perspective of, you know, like what we would see in real life, while third person offers something a lot different, giving you a camera angle that normally in real life scenarios you wouldn't have. Now, because of this third person peeking, it allows for players to look at other players without yourself being spotted. That would mean that you could take cover, lay down, hide behind a hill, hide under grass, and see players before they see you. Now, don't get me wrong, this is amazing and all, but this also allows for other players to do this to you. So in third person games, there are a lot of snakes. You gotta always use third person peeking to your advantage as a player, and the reason why is because all the other players are using that advantage as well. Now, if you were to compare this to first person has a huge disadvantage when it comes to peeking, but that changes the whole gameplay style, which is so amazing about PUBG Mobile, is the two different gameplay styles of third person and first person is just huge. So in first person, you couldn't peek over that hill, you couldn't peek in the cover. When you lay down in cover, you won't have that same advantage as third person players, and that's why third person players get that big advantage when it comes to playing the game and having that little peek action when they are in third person compared to first person players. So first person players cannot peek over that hill, they cannot look to the side of that tree without exposing themselves, they couldn't lay down and see what is on top of them and what's beyond their way when they are laying down. They have that huge disadvantage there compared to third person players. But then again, that also means that other players in first person have that disadvantage when it comes to peeking at other players, which brings a whole new strategy to the table when it comes to playing PUBG Mobile. I'm actually going to add some similarities into this little difference section of the video because I think it is kind of important to focus on, because maybe in the future they might be changing or updating things into the game. You never really know, there's constant updates in the game. But the similarities that both third person and first person have is that first person actually has some third person action, I guess you can say, added into the fray of the battlefield, which would be when you're landing, basically right when you jump out of the plane, you are landing in third person and you are parachuting in third person. So it's not a first person perspective. If it was like a first person perspective, you'd be holding on to the parachute, you'd be looking around, but instead it is a third person perspective. But there is another similarity, and that is driving vehicles. As we know right now, vehicles are third person in first person, but maybe in the future they might be changing that, but for now it is third person. Now, some of the differences in first person and third person. Personally, I think first person gameplay is a little bit more intense because of how close everything feels. On top of that, first person gameplay allows for you to see your weapon skins or your weapon a lot more close up, while third person allows for you to see your entire character, because when you are playing first person, let's say you're playing with a squad, you won't be able to see what your character looks like. You will be able to see what your other squad members look like, but you basically get the main focus of your weapon. So if you really like looking at your weapon skin, you definitely want to jump into first person, but when you want to look at your character outfit, you definitely want to jump into third person for that. I also feel like a huge difference between third person and first person is third person is probably one of the first game modes that a lot of new players will be jumping into, since first person was later on added to the game. So a lot of new players or players that, are fond of third person, they'll be staying in third person, while a lot of the more experienced players will be jumping into first person. And that also adds on to the reason why I think first person is a little bit more intense, a little bit more fast paced, and that is just because everything is so close to you, and there also are probably going to be a lot of good players in first person. Another big difference is that there is no arcade mode for first person yet. Now, like I said previously, they constantly update this game. We don't know when they are or if they are going to be releasing stuff like that where it would be arcade mode for first person, but we will have to see. Maybe they will update something like that in the future, but that is a definitely big difference because third person basically allows you to do quick matches or sniper only matches or mini zone matches, while first person only lets you focus on the ranking aspect where you can play on the 3 main maps, but you cannot do the quick paced versions that arcade offers. Now we are going to be moving to the difficulty section of the video. Like I was saying in the previous section, in terms of difficulty, I would rate the third person game mode probably the easier game mode, not only because it gives you a lot more advantage when it comes to playing the game because you are allowed to use that third person peek, but also because a lot of new players will be jumping into third person for the first time because that is the first thing they see when they open up the game. They will see third person on the main menu. That's what you will queue up. You have to actually select first person in order to play first person. While first person is going to be more difficult because it basically gives you a new feel to the game. The recoil on the weapons feel different. The gameplay feels different. You use mechanics a little bit differently in the gameplay, which I honestly find amazing because basically these two game modes are in the same game, but they change up the game so much that you have a new experience both times when you're playing the same game. Now remember that this is actually my opinion, so some people might think third person is harder than first person or first person is harder than third person. It just depends on the person's playstyle, and that's what I really love about this game because it allows for people to choose the different playstyles or, merge between the two depending on how they're feeling. But personally, I believe that third person is probably a 3 level 3 helmets out of 5, while first person is probably 4 level 3 helmets out of 5 in terms of difficulty. The reasoning behind that is basically what I talked about in today's video. Third person has that huge advantage when it comes to third person peeking, so a lot of new players get to peek at their target before they shoot at them. It basically gives them that big advantage there. While I feel like first person, for the most part, you can always see your target. Of course, people will have the disadvantage when they don't know someone's behind them. But in first person, you have to be looking at the person. You cannot be peeking or third person peeking like they are allowed to in third person. So I think that adds a next level difficulty to it when it comes to playing first person. Now, personally, I really like first person, and that is only because I get to have that realistic aspect to the gameplay. I feel like it brings that realistic aspect while you're playing the game. And of course, I get to see my awesome looking weapon skin because, the PUBG guys definitely put a lot of awesome detail into the weapons, especially those gold looking weapons. The new Sanhok gold weapons look super sick. But then I also like swapping over to third person and seeing my full entire character. I like seeing the backpack skins and, the character model. And I like, laying in the grass and snaking up on other players. And also another thing to add to first person is if you're swapping your character hand skins, I guess you can say, or let's say your character model, when you change your character skin, one of your skins has a, let's say glove. You can see that in first person, so I love the details in first person. But I would love to hear about you guys as well, what you guys like, third person, first person, or both. Tell me in the comments down below. I would love to know and hear from all of you guys on this channel in today's video. And hopefully you guys enjoy today's video. If you guys did, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up. And again, thank you so much, PUBG Mobile, for allowing me to upload videos on this channel. And if you guys enjoyed this video and if you guys want to see more stuff from me, my links are going to be down in the description down below. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the third versus first person discussion in today's video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.